Yeah,
but
that's multitasking.
but I'll do it
Yeah.
because I like you and I like your project and it
thank you.
matters. Okay,
Thank
so
you.
let's go hear what they have to say.
Yeah.
Woohoo!
Hey, Julietta, I love
hear Juliana.
accidentally hearing that incredible positivity coming out of somebody's mouth who didn't know that we just switched to 2D voice, and that's what we got to hear. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
That was beautiful. All right, I think we're ready. Karen Alexander is going to be clicking the slides for me so that I can wave my hands crazy like I like to do. So welcome. This is, I don't know what episode we are. Anybody, who's the episode counter?
183.
183. Booyah. We are on our way to number 200. And at the 200, we're going to have a big party and it's going to be quite smashing. So episode 183, Women of Schell Games. But first, let's have a few announcements. Before we begin, first of all, I want to let you know that we're recording. Your avatar voice and text messages may be shared publicly. There's no text messages here, but it's for all the events. Avatar etiquette, just be careful about what you're doing. Please respect other people. Try not to get in their face or slide around by accident. That happens. Does happen to everybody. And if so, just try to catch yourself. And please do mute if you're not speaking. If you are unmuted and there is background noise, we may mute you for you. But please do try to pay attention to it because it really helps us out a lot if we can just keep the room quiet. And please respect our speakers' opinions, which may not necessarily reflect those of XR Women or our leadership team. And use the raise your hand to ask questions. And we invite you, we encourage you to connect with others, collaborate, and help make the future better for all through technology. Is anyone here new to XR Women today? Ooh, we've got a couple. Very nice, very nice. Okay, so if you could, take a minute. We got 1, 2, 3. Whoa, that's a lot. Okay, we won't talk to the speakers because they'll be speaking. If you're not speaking today, could we get a quick little introduction of yourself? Just a little 30-second something.
I'll be happy to start. My name is Cass Pierce. I'm known as 11 Goddess as an avatar. I am working successfully in the multiverse, infiniverse, spatial, and in Holofit, where I do my exercises.
Oh, nice. That's a fun one. Great. And then I think we had one other, maybe two others. There we go, right there, gray shirt.
Hi, my name is Serene Liminal in VR. My IRL name is Holly Hansen, and I went to my first AWE conference this year, and I got to meet a lot of you there. So I am a product manager in tech, trying to get into XR product management, and I just co-launched a world with a friend of mine who's a developer in VR chat, and within like by now we have, I think, just been 2 months, we have over almost 35,000 visitors and over 3,000 favorites. It's a fantasy-based world with some meditation elements and things like that. So anybody who likes to do that kind of thing, I'd love to chat with you. And storytelling, immersive elements.
Please do post that, and both of you, please post your information in the Slack so that you can get connected with other people, and definitely like throw out there what you're looking for. This is what we're here for. We're here to connect and help each other out, and we want to know what your story is so that when I'm standing there at A to B talking to somebody else and they mention something, I can go, oh, I know somebody, hang on, let me go get them for you. This is what we're here for. We're here to like raise everybody up. So
and
do we have any others?
quick shout out, just one quick shout out to Jackie Mori, who actually took her class at UCLA, and she's just amazing. If you ever get a chance to take a class from her, I highly recommend it on immersive experience design.
Yeah, Jackie's amazing. We have an incredible picture of her as with her XR Women pin and her what was the award called for
XR Hall of Fame. XR Hall of Fame. Actually, that picture will appear later in the deck.
Oh, good. That's great. That's perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, and do we have any other new people today that aren't speaking already?
Oh,
Okay,
there's one.
back there. Oh, we have two more. Woo! Okay, red shirt, which I realize that when I say that, you have to remember what your avatar is wearing. Yeah. They're all looking. What am I wearing? The red shirt. Red is burgundy, really, possibly, if you want to get technical about it.
Hello.
I
That might
think
be me.
it's
Hi.
Alexis. Yeah.
Yeah, Alexis. Hi. So I met a lot of you at AWE this year, and this is my first meeting in Engage because I haven't had my headset for a minute. But I'm really excited to be here. I when I met all of you at AW, or as many of you as I did, I was really impressed by what you were just talking about, how you all support each other and that this started during the pandemic. And so I was super interested to learn more about it. I'm a 360 filmmaker, and I'm currently going to Cal State Northridge. I'm a student there in emerging media. So we're learning all about, VR, AR, XR, and building those kinds of experiences. And yeah, I'm just very happy to be here.
Incredible. Welcome, welcome. And I think we had one more black shirt, pink hair. Possibly a
Hi.
tuxedo.
Hello.
Hello.
I don't know what I'm wearing. I can't remember.
That's okay. It worked out. I can see you talking. I can't see your name from this far away.
My Halalitza Moing, or you can just call me Hala for short. I'm
Hala?
a creative. I'm an XR developer from Botswana in the southern part of Africa. I don't know if you can all hear me.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely.
Oh yeah, I'm just here.
Fantastic.
I think I've met about two ladies. I've met Judith Okonko last year at the Creation Africa in Paris, and then last weekend I had a session with the Immersive Tech Africa. That is where I learned about this forum from Julie Smithson. Yes,
Nice,
I think so.
nice,
Mhm.
nice.
So I'm
Fantastic.
just
We are
here. Yeah. All right. Thank you so much.
super great to have you. So awesome. And again, all of you, please put your information in Slack. Please join us on Slack. Socialize your information so you can get connected into the group, and that people can know what each other is all about. I think that is everybody. We also have 11 additional new people from 6 countries, so that's really cool. Oh, you're back. We're back. USA, Botswana, I can't even say that. Switzerland, Nigeria, Sweden. Like, this is crazy. Canada, like, this is how fast we're growing. This is really cool. It just shows that when we all come together, how much we can grow and how much we can change the world when we all work together. All right, next slide. We'd like to showcase the XR Women Museum and Research Corner. This is over in Frame, and you can go check this out anytime. Frame VR. It's QR code and a URL right there. Next slide. And our Women's Business Showcase. So something we did, I don't even know how long ago was this, Karen?
Wow, it was January 31st and February 1st that we had the events around it.
I guess it wasn't that long ago, but boy, does it seem like a long time to me. Karen and I spent a lot of late nights working on this, and it was a smash success. It was a lot of fun, and if you want to come see the show, you can still do it. So we kept it up because we got a lot of requests to come check out the show that happens where we go around and each person actually gives their 30-second quick overview, and then there's a deeper dive of a 2-minute tell me about your business if you go over to the booth, and there's videos. So it's a great way to kind of check out a presentation format that works in the metaverse, as well as see some of the stuff that your other fellow XR women are up to. So please do go check it out. It's right here in Engage, and the session ID right up there is this MRGPL, which Karen likes to say is Margie Purple. Easy way to remember that. So yeah, check that out and let us know what you think. Next slide. And we'd like to tell you about our YouTube channel. So we've been recording these events for the most part, and we've been putting them up on YouTube. So if you do miss a session, you don't actually have to miss the content. You can go pop in here and check it out. And even if you've been to all the sessions, please do go subscribe, go like, go do all the social media things you know you're supposed to do, because it will help our numbers. And anything that helps our numbers is going to help us go get more sponsors and more people, and all of these things grow our network and just make us stronger and better. And we have some incredible gear, some of which you've seen at AWE. I have some favorites of my own. I like this guy right here. I don't know why. It's just digital. It's really great. So there's a lot of cool stuff there. There's a new sticker out right now that you probably should check out. There's a new pin available. This merch looks really cool and everyone loves it, and it shows your support. We also have ally merch. So if you have another person in your life who doesn't quite fit into the parameters of this group, but they support our message, get them an ally shirt. Be super cool to see them out there in the world. Next slide. Oh, there's the pin right now. It's a fantabulous pin. And there's Jackie Moray. To be honest, she's kind of a badass. That's what it boils down to. So it's wonderful to have her in this group and be such a leader in the community. And she's just been killing it for so long for all of us and paving the way. And then we have lots of other fabulous XR women here. There's Cal and Alexander right there.
Nice. Yeah. Yes, and you can, if you make a $35 contribution to support XR Women on our website, you and provide your address in the U.S. and Canada. Talk to us if you're elsewhere. We can discuss the possibilities for shipping these to you. We will send one of these snazzy XR Women enamel pins to you. This is a new design with the dark purple and silver metal, whereas the one that Jackie and Deirdre and Sarah and Wadua and Amy and I are wearing in those pictures is a different edition. This one too is a limited edition. So get yours and wear it proudly to your next in-person event.
And we have a Discord channel that's focused on getting people together to play games. It's relatively new, and we're right now starting to get a lot of coordination around. Yeah, do a little walkabout, maybe play My Game Rocket, whatever it is. So in that activities and games channel, we're going to be giving away, Schell Games is giving away a free key for one of these titles. So please do go in there, and what do they put? Just go post that you want to get in the game. And then do join us for some game nights. We're trying to organize some ad hoc gatherings like that. And if there's stuff that you play that you're into, please post about it. Maybe you can get a group together. Anything that just gets us more connected and more opportunities, because we're not doing the let's go play golf or let's hang out on my boat, because we're very busy working. So this is a great way for us to get together, have some fun, and just do it in a very nice short little time bucket that we don't have to have a heavy burden in our lives of going out and doing something. We can get connections in lots of small ways. South by Southwest, you may have noticed that a lot of people are cropping up with their vote for my panel. Yes, do that. Please do vote. We have a whole lot of people in our community that are doing panels, that are doing presentations, you name it, they're doing it. Get out there and vote for everybody. Let's get more women in South by Southwest. Let's promote and support our people, and let's just take over the world. Next. Debbie Deere, CEO of Orion Digital, is coming up Wednesday, August 21st. I think that's next week. Pretty sure about that. Diverse Forces in XR and How We Influence the Singularity. Way cool. Excited for that one.
Oops.
Wow. I would like to promote our XR Girls Africa VR for Social Good. That's coming up in the end of this month, so 2 weeks from now, here in Engage.
Oops, sorry.
I'll just do a little dance so we get there. Do, 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 do.
There we are.
And then September 4th, we have no official event. So we'll be taking a break that week. And without, did we do that one, Kelly? Oh, September 11th. Sorry, one more out. Kelly, you're right. And I don't know if we still have the upcoming list over there in the corner. Do we still have that going on?
We do not. No, we do not have that at the moment.
Okay. All right. All right.
Yeah.
We've been trying to make sure that everyone has a little bit more of a signpost about the events that are coming up. So we're trying to find ways that people can see a lot of this information more than just a quick hit on the slide here, because sometimes it's hard to remember which one's coming up when. So September 11th, so that's out almost a month now, maybe 3 or 4 weeks. Kelly Garoy at Gridism explain the potential of virtual art movement.
Guillory.
Guillory, thank
Uh-oh.
you. Thank you.
All
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. So okay. So now is the time when we are going to transport over to the Moon Stage, a very fun environment where we're going to hear from our guest panel from Schell Games. So I am going to take us over there right now. So get ready, hold on to your hats. Here we go.
There's a lot of people on this landing pad.
Oh my gosh, so many astronauts.
This is one small step
Wow,
for XR, one giant leap.
Fantastic.
Oh,
This
wow.
is so great.
Yeah. Let's
Come on
see.
in, everyone.
Where is-
Make your way over to the door and go through the. I've never
Yeah.
been guiding people on the moon before, but here we go. Make your way over to that portal there, and you'll be able to go right through.
Just walk right through, and your clothes will change automatically because we're living in the future.
And I am going to pull up a video for Schell Games, and then once that's over, then Kat, if you wouldn't mind introducing yourself and the other panelists, and we can get started. So here goes the video.
Got you, Robin.
Schell Games is not your typical game studio. With our long history in the game industry, we are uniquely positioned to create interactive experiences that engage and inspire players of all ages across all platforms. Our portfolio includes projects ranging from mobile games to virtual reality games to interactive installations to theme park attractions and everything else in between. As a leader in virtual and augmented reality, Schell Games is capable of leveraging these powerful new technologies to create immersive experiences that educate, entertain, and engage. We are always ready to experiment with the latest technologies and the newest techniques. Not only are we different, we are experienced. Since 2002, our award-winning studio has worked with world-class clients and partners in diverse industries, including toys and games, healthcare, technology, education, and entertainment. As the largest education and entertainment game development company in the U.S., our team of over 100 people is committed to bridging the gap between educational and entertainment games to develop experiences that surpass our clients' expectations. Our diverse staff is a seasoned group of artists, designers, animators, engineers, producers, and audio professionals who create games with purpose and with pride. Schell Games, Amazing teams, amazing experiences, amazing fun.
Awesome. Okay. Well, yeah, maybe we can just leave that up like that because it creates a nice backdrop of the beautiful Schell Games headquarters right on the Monongahela River in downtown Pittsburgh, right across from downtown with incredible views. I've been there a number of times and it's really fantastic. If you ever get the chance to visit, I recommend it. But for now, I'm going to turn things over to Kat DeShields Moon, who is going to introduce herself and the other panelists and moderate the panel. So take it away, Kat.
Yeah, let me get my screen updated. Hello, everybody. Thank you. Good morning, maybe good afternoon, good evening, possibly. Thank you so much for sharing part of your day with us. This is awesome. I've had so much fun on the moon here with y'all already. I'm Kat DeShields Moon. I'm the Senior Public Relations Manager for Schell Games. I've been there for about going on 4 years. Time flies. What is time anymore? And I am super excited to introduce you to some of my wonderful colleagues. I think the world of them, that will be talking about crafting immersive worlds and some of the work they do across disciplines. So I don't have an order. Well, I'm going to go on an order on the description. So I'm going to start with, I don't have any arms. Crystal! Yeah. So Crystal is right behind me. She is a game audio artist at Schell Games, where she began working in 2022 and takes the phrase "make some noise" to heart, which I absolutely love. We also have Dimitri Shan. She is an advanced producer and manages budget, schedules, and teams across various projects through all phases of production. To her right, we have Addie, an advanced designer at Schell Games, and she manages the creation and development of immersive gaming experiences. And last but certainly not least, I have Manuela to my left, a senior graphics engineer, and she works on multiple teams across the company to handle graphics and rendering needs. So really excited to talk about individual experiences, how everybody got into this industry, because all the stories are so unique and different. And then just what day-to-day looks like in Schell Games when it comes to crafting immersive experiences. And then we'll hopefully have time to close with some hopes and predictions for the future of VR and XR, which I always love. So we'll also have some time for Q&A. Is that okay, Karen, for to leave about 10, maybe 15 minutes at the end?
Yes, that would be fantastic. Thank you.
Okay, cool. Well, I will keep an eye on the clock then. So to get started, whoever feels like answering first would love to just set the tone for this panel and share your journey into the VR industry and what drew you to Schell Games in general. Pop over here.
I can get started. So my name is Dimitri, like Kat said. For my journey into VR, I actually started in esports, and that's kind of where I got my road to my career started as a project manager doing events and esports events. And then I decided that I needed a career move because esports can kind of burn you out, especially with the hours that it's required to run all of the things that you need to do. So I actually was going to leave gaming, surprisingly enough, until Kat was actually there with me. And when Kat went to Schell, asked me hey, why don't you just come over here? I promise you won't get burnt out. And so I made my way over into the VR space with Schell Games, which was pretty cool and also was super amazing. So that's basically how I started my journey into VR. And then, yeah, I'll pass it over to anyone else.
I can go next. Hello, I am Addie McFadden. I am a designer at Schell Games. My journey into the VR industry didn't begin until after I joined Schell Games 5 years ago now. when I was applying for my design internship at the time, I knew that Schell worked on a wide variety of experiences, which is what drew me in. So I knew that the application mentioned it would be a plus if someone had an interest in VR. And at the time, this was in 2018 when I was applying, VR tech wasn't super accessible. So I hadn't had firsthand experience with it yet, but I was definitely fascinated. So I figured I'd give it a shot. So in the time since I got hired at Schell Games, I initially started working on location-based entertainment, which I still do off and on as well. But I also have worked on VR projects in the time I've been there as well.
Awesome. Crystal, would you like to go next? Hello, Crystal?
I can go all she
Okay, yeah.
starts out her mic
Thanks,
issues.
Manuela.
Yeah. So I have only been in VR for about 3 years. A friend invited me to go work at Alchemy, so I went, and then another friend invited me to come work at Schell, so I've just been at those two companies. But I've worked on Among Us VR, I Expect You to Die 3, and I can't remember everything. But what is so exciting about VR is the fact that it's still kind of such a new technology. There's still so many things to pioneer as far as graphics go.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I feel like Crystal's coming back online, but it's okay.
Maybe.
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Okay. Whoops. Okay, can you hear me? Is that better? Okay, sorry about that. My computer freaked out. Hello, my name is Crystal. I work in audio at Schell Games. My journey, I think I had a similar experience to Addie in that it was kind of an accident that I ended up in VR. I remember when I started out, I was making computer games. I was in this student game dev studio for a university I didn't actually go to. It was really complicated, but the founder of that studio worked at Schell, and so I talked to him, and Schell sounded like a great place to work. And then I showed up, and I was like, all right, tell me what to do. So they put me on a VR project. It was I Expect You to Die 3. And it was actually with Dimitri, was my producer, and yeah, the rest is history. I think I've been working on only VR projects since then.
No, that's super awesome, and thank you everybody for sharing part of your journey. And Wella, you did mention some of the projects that you worked on, and I'd love just to go down the line, Crystal, Dimitri, and Addie, and just share some of the work that you've been doing at Schell Games. Now, I know we can't talk about everything, but what we can share.
I can kick us off.
Sure.
I've mostly worked on projects that are under NDA client projects, but for internal IP, I've most recently worked on Silent Slayer Vault of the Vampire, which is our VR vampire horror experience that just came out recently this summer.
Yeah, and then for myself, I worked on I Expect You to Die 3, like Crystal mentioned earlier, and our newly announced game on Apple Arcade for the Vision Pro called Puzzle Sculpt is what I'm working on right now.
For me, I worked on I Expect You to Die 3 for my first project. There's an unannounced project in the middle there, and then I did a little bit of work for Happy Atoms. Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks so much. And yes, there are keys, as Karen mentioned earlier, for Silent Slayer, Among Us VR, and I Expect You to Die 3 in that Slack channel she mentioned. So please go get some. Love for you to experience some of our titles. Now I want to talk about Schell Games' creative process and collaboration just a little bit. Schell Games is unlike many studios that I've ever seen or experienced in that multiple projects are taking place at once. So it could be anywhere between 6 to 8 projects running at a time through the studio. And I'm going to kick it over to Dimitri as an advanced producer. How does Schell Games go about structuring these teams for these different projects?
Yeah, so Schell Games takes an interesting approach to staffing our projects. Specifically, it is all curated around what the project actually needs. And so we do also have different phases throughout the project where we'll start with either a small team or a discovery team, and then we'll transition over into like CNF, which is concept and feasibility. But realistically, whatever the team actually, or whatever the project calls for, is how Schell will staff it. We also take into account various amounts of things, like, for example, the skill level. Does the team mesh well? But because of the studio, like, we've had people work together before, so we'll try to pair people who we know will make a good team. Basically, I would say the biggest thing that we try to take into account for is that we will try to staff accordingly, but we also know that, you know, things never go as planned, or like however much we want to plan, things won't go according to plan. So being as I think Schell's key thing is being as flexible as needed for the team, and really hearing the team out and listening to what the estimates are and what's actually needed is how Schell actually staffs most of our projects. So I think flexibility is the key thing that I really love about Schell when we take the approach of staffing each of our projects.
No, that's fantastic insight. Thank you so much for sharing. And another thing that's really, like, that you mentioned is the collaboration across disciplines. So when it comes to making a project, and I know that everybody here is from different disciplines and might roll on and roll off at different points of the project, but starting with Addie, if you don't mind, could you talk about how your role collaborates with other disciplines on a particular team?
Yeah, I think the really cool thing about being a designer on a project is that you get to collaborate with just about everyone on the team, because, yeah, you, as a designer, you have to think very holistically and think about how everything interacts with each other. So I often find that there's kind of a rhythm that's involved with how I collaborate with different disciplines, where it'll kind of start it with just me working on something and ideating, or me and other designers, and then we'll present it to the other disciplines, and then they'll go off, and then I'll go off, and we get back together. And it's kind of this, like, getting together, working, getting together, and off and on. So it's a really nice rhythm and cadence whenever it comes to collaborating with other disciplines, which I think is a lot of fun.
Oh, that's super cool. I love that. So Crystal, being in audio, like, what does that process look for you in terms of working with other disciplines on the team?
Yeah, it can depend on, it depends on the project, and I think it depends on the team. Some, how do I put this? Like, there are some projects where, like, you roll on at the very end and you're basically handed the project and it's like, all right, make sounds for this. And in that case, in my experience, the collaboration is a little bit more like, okay, well, I just got to go through and make sounds for this whole game. And then you take an input from, like, your directors, your designers, the team, like, see what people think. In other situations, you know, you might roll on earlier, so it's more collaborative. Like on I Expect You to Die 3, I worked pretty closely. We had, like, a group of people all working on, like, a few levels together. So in that case, it would be like partly a discussion thing, and partly it was really cool to be like, sometimes, like, a designer would just put in a feature and I'd be like, oh, I just want to add, like, this sound that we already have to it, and then we would all hear it together in a playthrough and be like, oh, I like that, I don't like that, I like how it works, I don't like how it works, and this is how we can change it. And I've also been on projects where, like, you know, the timeline is tight, so, like, you just have to sort of get stuff out of the way. So that might look like, oh, like, your directors are telling you exactly what they want and you just have to, like, fulfill that piece by piece. My favorite is the second one, but they can all be fun.
Nope, totally understand that. That's really cool. Thank you, Crystal. Manuela, what does this process look like for you with in engineering? Ooh, I am stuttering today. Sorry, y'all.
I'm in a unique position as a graphics engineer because the work I do is programming, but it's very related to art. So I spend a lot of time collaborating with both engineering teams and the art teams. And usually I won't be on a project from start to finish. I'll come in when needed, which means I get to work on a lot of projects at once. And in fact, some of the projects, not very much at all, but it's fun to have a chance to, like, I did a little bit on the Apple Vision Pro game that I'm not actually, like, full-time on, but it's nice to see all the different people in the studio.
Yeah, that's super cool. I love that. Like, multi-projects is a lot of fun. That's definitely a fun part of Shell Games. And Dimitri, why don't you bring us home as an advanced producer? What does that look like for you?
Yeah, I think it's a big part of my job is to make sure that communication is clear because of all the different disciplines. Each discipline kind of has like their own language, very similar to like Manuela, where Manuela will bridge the gap between graphics and tech. For me, it's very much just making sure people are being clear and being communicative about what they mean, because in any group or any project that you work on, there will be like slang, or there will be things that like engineers use terms that don't make sense to the rest of the team. And so very much bringing it down to basics where people can verbally understand each other is the biggest part that I play in when making sure that disciplines are talking to each other and interacting with each other. So really helping bridge that gap for communication and making sure that people are on the same page.
Now, it's definitely like the glue that holds it all together. Looking at your calendar gives me anxiety, by the way. I'll just put that out there. No, thank you all so much for setting the tone for what like projects and processes look like at Shell Games. And now I'd like to spend a little bit of time talking about innovation and trends in VR. So, all been here for different points of time at different places before that. And for anybody who would like to answer, what are some of the most exciting trends or innovations, in VR that you are currently exploring or excited about?
I can go. I feel like there's a couple. I know that like MR I think is growing and growing, like with the release of the Quest 3 with the color pass-through. I think MR is becoming more and more prevalent, and I think it is. If there's anyone here who like hasn't played an MR game, I highly recommend I think like First Encounters is the free one on the Quest 3, or I think it's on the Quest 2 as well. But there's something really, really cool about like being in a room, right, or in a space and then feeling like that space interact with you. A lot of these games will like wipe out a wall, right, and then it's like a window into a different universe. That's really cool. And also I think the potential of VR as like an educational tool or a therapeutic tool, right? I think like some folks, for example, like older folks who might be like losing their vision, right? They can see better in VR, right? They can experience things differently. I think those are all really great applications that I hope get more development in the future.
Yeah, I can segue into that because Crystal mentioned education, or not education, but the way like it helps older people see and whatnot. So my dad is actually a respiratory therapist, college professor over at Georgia State University, and I think the biggest thing that we're talking about that I'm super excited for is how VR can help in the education and hospital space or healthcare. So basically being able to figure out for students, I think the biggest thing that he was talking to me that students struggle with is being able to do patient care. And so really putting the students in the place of the patient and being able to experience what others can feel and see would really help them with patient care. And so, and there are already, I think, some programs that are starting to look into this and develop that. And they also even have like dummies that are super physically you can act and interact with them. And transitioning that into the VR space is something that I think people are just now starting to like dig into. I know there's also like a whole case where this person was doing a study for Alzheimer's because they really wanted to relate to, I think, their parent who had Alzheimer's. And so things like that just make me super excited for VR and like the way that it's going for people to medically help, but also in the educational space, help people learn and grow.
No, those are all excellent points, and I'll piggyback off of that. I love VR and MR because it makes exercising fun. Like Beats Saber Synth Riders, Until You Fall. Like I just love it. It gamifies exercise, makes it nice. But yeah, no, that's really awesome. Thank you, Crystal and Dimitri, for sharing. To drill down a little bit into some of the trends and innovations that we currently utilize at Shell Games when it comes to creating experiences. Addie and Manuela, I'd love to talk about how Schell Games ensures that the VR experiences that are created are accessible and inclusive for diverse audiences.
I guess I can start on this one.
Sure.
From a design standpoint, at Schell Games, we actually have what we call the accessibility matrix, which usually the directors or select other people on each team will go through and fill out, and it's basically what sets the basis of which accessibility features are important for a particular project. So we fill it out per project. It's not just shared as a set default. So then we can try to build those in as part of the features throughout production rather than trying to squeeze in accessibility features at the end. And so my job as a designer is to make sure I stay aware of those accessibility goals so that I can design experiences with those in mind and have it very embedded in the experience. So to ensure that that happens, it'll require some amount of research to see maybe how other studios approach those problems, or see if there's any, for example, motion sickness. There's a lot of research around simulation sickness in VR. So I've definitely done a lot of research as far as that goes. And then in addition to research, making sure you play test your experiences with those people who need those accessibility features so that you can actually see if they're working for those people who need those features. So yeah, I know at Schell Games, I guess continuing with the motion sickness and simulation sickness, I Expect You to Die 3, I know they did a whole lot of play testing around simulation sickness just to make sure that their game was playable for as many people as possible.
No, that's wonderful insight. Thank you so much, Addie. Manuela, did you have anything to add to that on the engineering side, of the graphics engineering side of things? Or?
I have to say one of the more fascinating things that I worked on at Schell was Among Us VR has this feature. It's a vignette when you're moving. You kind of get tunnel vision, or you can turn it off. But I'd never seen anything like that before in a VR game. But it, for some reason, prevents people usually get motion sickness. From getting motion sickness, they can run around in the game. So that was a graphics thing to implement, but I was fascinated by the creativity and just thinking of that.
Yeah, no, that definitely comes in handy when I'm playing Among Us VR. So thank you, team, for considering people like me and so many others. Because motion sickness can be a pretty substantial barrier to a lot of folks, experiencing VR, and accessibility considerations like that are game-changing, pun totally intended, to get more people in the space. So balancing creativity and technology, that's a big deal, especially when you're working with some of the limitations that current VR headsets on the market have. So Crystal, Addie, and Manuela, whoever would like to start, would love to know how you balance the artistic and technical aspects of creating immersive VR experiences. And then if you have any examples of or stories around a technological limitation that inspired a creative solution, would love to hear some about that.
Well, I can say that as a graphics engineer, my job is often to be the bad guy who says, no, artists, you can't do that. But it's always nice when I can say, yes, we can do that. But often it's sort of come on, guys, let's reel it back. One of my favorite things that I implemented recently is we were trying to have a waveform based on spectrum data from music in one of the games, and that ended up being a little too heavy. So I came up with a way to feed a texture into a shader, and it looked like it was a live music wave spectrum, but it was fake. Faking stuff, it's always better to fake things than do things for real. That's how it is in games.
Oh,
Yeah,
Chris,
I can go directly off of that. Sorry, Crystal.
Sure. No, you're good, Addie.
I can go directly off of that, basically talking about like faking things. A lot of the time, balancing the artistic and technical aspects, it's ensuring like the form of an object, so how it looks visually doesn't confuse the function of that object. So I guess kind of an example of that would be in Silent Slayer. We ended up having to basically overhaul the design of one of our interactions due to a technical limitation where we found that having real physics led to a lot of problems. We had this interaction where if you rang a bell, it would create noise and wake up the vampire. And along the way, we were discovering that real physics plus the just natural shakiness of one's hand just created a lot of different problems. So we ended up having to completely change that and work around that limitation of no real physics for gameplay purposes. So we ended up taking this physics-driven interaction and turning it into this red light, green light gameplay where we would just kind of watch for whether someone's movement is within a threshold before triggering the bad thing to happen instead of like following literal physics. So yeah, that was definitely a tricky problem to solve initially.
For audio on a completely different thread, I think technical limitations in VR, I think other people are lucky in that I think in my experience we don't have to struggle as much with performance as like I think graphics has to or design has to. But I think like the technical limitations are things like, well, you're in VR, it has to be immersive, right? So there's a limit to like how much you want to fake sound, I think. Like if you're, I mean, even the issue of like, I mean, we're all like in this XR space, right? How do you balance like voice chat versus like music versus SFX, right? You want to be able to hear all those things, but you also like don't want to overwhelm the player, right? That kind of thing. I think the takeaway that I've had is to just lean into all of it, right? So like on I Expect You to Die 3, when we were mixing that game, we didn't like quote unquote fake a lot of the attenuation, essentially, like if a sound is farther from you, if it sounds quieter, right, or if it's spatialized, right, we sort of very much relied on like where those objects were in the game space to shape that. And I think I don't know, I think it's a fun approach. Maybe I would try faking it in the future, but I think that's something fun about VR is that like even though you have those limitations, like I think it can lead you to new and creative solutions.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you all very, very much for that insight. I can't believe how quickly this time has flown by, and y'all have been a great audience. I'm going to close this out with one more question. It's one of my favorites, and this is open to the group before we head into a couple of minutes of Q&A. If you could go back to the beginning of your journey in the VR space, what piece of advice would you give yourself?
Probably whatever you think your FPS budget is, it's less than you think.
As for me, I would tell myself to advocate more for your comfort level. Like I'm someone who does also get motion sickness, and I remember being on projects where, oh, we have motion sickness concerns. Addie, you're the only one who gets motion sickness. Let's use you as a guinea pig to see if that. I think.
Uh-oh. Oh. Having some mic issues. Let me send a quick message. Yeah. To Addie. Dimitri, would you like to pick up?
Yeah, I could also, that's probably the one thing that I would also say is the same thing as Addie is like, I do also get very motion sick. Like even this isn't bad, but like walking around in here for too long gets me really sick. And so I was also used, since I was on Expect You to Die 3, I was also used a lot for motion sickness. They were like, does this make you sick? Does this make you sick? And I'm like, yes, all of it makes me sick. But being a little bit more firm of like, also because like I Expect You to Die was my first project, so I was a little bit more gung-ho about getting into headset and being like, I can do this. Yeah, no, it ruins your day. It's not really great. So making sure that you plan accordingly for that, because once you get sick, like, man, it really takes out your day. Like, I had to go home early and it was not great. So
Join the motion sickness crew. I also get so motion sick, y'all. I like can't play like third person games like Final Fantasy 14. I like shrink the window and then I like zoom out. So anyway, it's a whole thing. I would say like if I could go back and talk to me like a couple of years ago, I feel like I'd say like lean into everything, you know, everything from like the implementation of like sounds to, I mean, like, it's so much fun. Like, I think for a while I stayed away from like content creation because implementation was my strong suit, but like, it's so much fun to just like get your hands dirty. Like for me, it would be like, oh, like I make sounds and I put them in a headset, and then you learn like, oh, like the headset makes sounds sound different like this, and then you go back and you sort of develop this ear for it, where I can listen to something on like my computer and I realize like how it will sound in headset, right? Something that sounds kind of crunchy on the computer will sound great in a headset. I think things like that have been like the most rewarding part of the journey for me. That and the people, but you know, teammates, whatever. Sorry, I'm kidding. I love my teammates.
Oh, no, that is all fine. And your teammates love you too, Crystal. Addie, are you back online with audio? If not, no worries at all. So we can open it up to Q&A. All right. Okay, cool. Oh no, still cutting in and out a little bit, but we'll it's okay. We'll get you sorted. But thank you, Manuela, Crystal, Dimitri, Addie, for your lovely insights. And now I would like to open up the floor for Q&A. If anybody has any questions. Oh, let's see. Oh my gosh, I'm not wearing my glasses.
With one. Yeah, I put the names back on so you could see and to call on people. This is Karen speaking.
Okay.
Thank you all so much. That was really interesting, and I loved hearing about the best practices around accessibility and design. And I wanted to ask about any best practices that you follow around in developing your games. Does privacy or security come into play? How do they figure into the process?
Yeah, I can talk on that a little bit just because I'm going through that right now. So our privacy policy and security policy, Schell Games does have our generic one that we use for all games, where we talk about how we protect data privacy and whatnot. Some of that gets altered also by our client. So for example, like Apple right now is the client that I'm working with. They have a very specific request and needs for privacy and security, so we fold that into our privacy policy. So but I will say our standard practice is that, you know, we follow all of the rules when it comes to sharing data around personal information, and then also and I'm sorry, the name of that is like escaping my brain right now that we follow, but there is a standard privacy policy that all companies follow when it comes to handling personal data. And we follow that to a T, and then also we have our own that our lawyers have looked at and that we make sure we protect our player base and whatnot. I know we had a big one also with Among Us VR where we were having accounts and whatnot, so those are all best practices that we try to follow, and protecting our player base is our number one key component that we look into.
Awesome. Thank you so much for answering that question, Dimitri. I think I'm going to walk over here so I can rename Sarah. I think you had your hand up for a question.
Oh, great. Thank you. And thank you so much to all. I'll keep this really short time. And I'm sorry, I can't see names because of how far back I am, but to the fellow sound designer over there, thank you so much. And this is directed at you, if that's okay. I love the game, whatever Lost Recipes that you guys did. And one of the features that I love about it is that the user can go in and control each individual track I have sensory sensitivity in VR, VRise, et cetera, et cetera. How do you guys, do you do that with all of your games where the user can go in and they can decide how loud the SFX is in relationship to the ambient sound? Is that something that Schell always does? And I'll just leave it there because my other question would take too long to answer. Thank you so much for what you're doing.
Of course. Feel free to reach out to me on like LinkedIn or something if you want to ask the other question, if it's sound related. We do have sliders for, I think we have a couple games that don't have them, but in more recently, we do almost always have sliders for master volume, music volume, and SFX volume. I think it would be really cool to be able to control like the ambience and stuff like that. I totally get you. I also I can't deal with like certain like loud music and stuff, and I love being able to turn it down. But yeah, it's definitely something that we should look more into.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think Splash, I think I saw your hand up as well.
Yes. Hi. So I'm trying to look at processes right now and to make models and work more efficient. Do any of you use AI, and how do you use it? And what is the productivity in terms of? I hope you engage in it. Thank you, and maybe share some thoughts. Thank you.
I could take this one. So, public relations speak, I apologize in advance. AI at the studio is something that we're currently evaluating. So we have like these breakfast roundtables where the entire Schell Game studio can come together to talk about different topics or innovations, or hey, we're looking into this. So that has been the topic, the tantamount topic actually recently. For exploration and discussion. And please correct me, Addie, Dimitri, Crystal, Manuel, if you know different. We haven't made any firm decisions about how this will roll into our game development or experience pipeline, but it is something that we're looking at, evaluating. I'm particularly interested in how this results in endless conversation for NPCs, because I'm that person that talks to everybody when I'm playing a game. But it's not something that we have any concrete best practices or processes around yet. But stay tuned. I'm sure we'll share when we do. Karen, I think you see your hand up?
Yes. Well, I just wanted to say that we are now at the official end of our time, and I want to be respectful of our amazing panel here. However, if you all are able to stay around a little bit longer and answer a few more questions from our guests, we are more than happy to keep the event running. But we do understand that, of course, some people will have to leave. But before we do anything else, and whether it's going to questions or closing, just would like to thank you all so very much. This was a really fascinating panel. Great to get an inside look at your processes and to hear about the work you're doing. And I, for one, really admire Schell Games and the products that you put out. They are top-notch, really. So thank you all very, very much. And Kat and Dimitri, Addie, Crystal, Manuela, up to you whether or not you can stay just for a few minutes longer.
Yeah, I can hang out, but team, if you have to go, because I know Wednesdays can be crazy. Please feel free. Want to be respectful of your time.